What to do when she is angry. This one is especially for my brothers out there. Have you been exposed to female rage, anger, like this kind of intensity that you feel it's going to burn you to the ground? And how did you respond when this happened? Was this within the context of a romantic relationship where the anger or the rage was completely justified, or was it just some toxic energy in the background that is there all the time? So I want to dive into this a little bit deeper, because I know that for many men, they are going to be exposed at some point or another to this situation. You brothers out there, you might have been exposed to this situation. And how did you handle it? You know, a woman is screaming at you. What was your response? Was it, "You're crazy, I'm out of here, this is too much, I cannot take it, you drive me nuts"? You know, this is one of the possible expressions. Another possible expression or another possible response would be, "Oh my God, you are really angry right now. What's going on? Tell me more. Wow, yeah, no, I can see something is raging inside of you." And navigating that with curiosity, inviting it, encouraging it, right? That's another way of responding. Another way of responding is, "Oh my God, this is so hot. I love when you get angry, into your fire, into your power right now." And sometimes when a woman is going to be in full-on attack, it's as if she's coming with her ninja swords and chopping us to the ground, right? So I'm talking about, you know, there are different degrees of anger and rage. Sometimes it's going to be passive aggressive. It means that it's not going to be expressed. Sometimes it's full rage, right? And full on, and it can keep on going. Sometimes it's just going to be like a 1 minute expression and she's done, right? And so what we tend to do when we see something like that, it's going to be, in probably 80-90% of the cases, it's going to be shaming the woman for having that emotion, right? If me as a man, I'm trying to stop and suppress that emotion, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. Here is the thing. It is that my dark, masculine, grounded warrior power, right? From that place where I'm like fucking rock, powerful, embodied, anchored. Do you think that this emotional outbreak of rage and fire can really threaten this dark masculine warrior inside of me? And the answer is like, if I'm really grounded, if I'm really in this powerful place, she can voice, she can express, she can scream. That's not going to affect me. I mean, it's going to impact me, but it's not going to threaten my balance, my power. I'm going to look at it and I go like, "Go baby, my God, there is something coming out of you out there." I'm going to hold space for that, for this to be voiced. So let's make a distinction over here. There is a very strong distinction between immature expressions of rage and anger. This is when she's really contracted into it and she's like suffering from within. And it's a recurring thing. It means that she keeps on spinning into something that doesn't find a resolution, right? This might be an immature expression. Why? Because she's completely dominated by this rage and anger. It means that this emotion is limiting her, is contracting her, is shutting her down, right? And there is another expression of rage and anger, which is the mature rage and the mature expression. She looks inside and she goes like, "Oh, I'm feeling this fire coming to the surface. I want to chop your head right now," right? And so this is going to be much more owned. It means that she's not enslaved by her emotion, but she's master of her emotion. She's not apologetic about it. She's not fighting with it. She's like, "This is what I'm feeling right now, and I'm going to voice it and express it." And of course, this is a spectrum. It's not just black and white. It's not just one or the other. There is a certain degree of, you know, something that is uncontrollable, but at the same time, there is a witness who can direct the energy. Take the example of the Avatar movie, right? This guy is riding his dragon this blue being, right? When he jumps on his dragon and the dragon is controlling the shore, the dragon is out of control, then the thing goes all over the place, right? The dragon symbolizes this fire and this force and this power, this animal instinct, right? And at a certain point, he realizes or she realizes that they can direct the dragon with their mind, right? Right, left, up or down, right? So then at that moment, it becomes a symbiotic merging of those two energies. So if we come back now to the expression of rage or anger, in the feminine, you are witnessing that. Sometimes it's out of control. It's all over the place. There is no boundaries, there is no context, and it's not necessarily going to be serving your relationship because it feels like it's a recurring thing that is just toxic. It becomes just pure abuse and toxicity. And that's not very serving. But when it happens every now and then suddenly there is a rage or there is an outbreak and there is an expression, then you can really decide. You can be like, stop, this is not okay, go away with those emotions. Or you can be like, no, let's welcome that because this is an aspect of your being that I want to celebrate. I want to embrace it. I want to enjoy it. I want to welcome it. I can see the value and the power of what you're expressing right now, okay? So navigating these emotions is an art form. So it's an art form. It doesn't mean that it's linear. There is going to be moments where the expression of that rage is inappropriate, where you just have to go and you don't have the time to dive into this right now. You cannot hold space for that. And there are going to be other moments where you're just not in the mood to be exposed to that. And then you are going to give a boundary. Babe, I don't know what's happening to you right now, but I'm not in a position, I don't have the capacity right now to receive whatever is happening. And she might be raging, she keeps on going, say, I'm not going to fight with you, I don't want to go there right now. This is a boundary, and you remove yourself out of the space, right? For instance, right? So managing those emotions and playing with them and being able to hold space for that, this is an art form. And most men that I know, when there is an outbreak in the feminine, it is really powerful. And we are talking about intensity right now. We are not talking about vulnerability and sadness. We're talking about the fire, the intensification of power. When this happens, for most men, they are going to be like, I don't have the energetic or emotional capacity to be exposed to that. I don't know what to do with it. And what I want to inspire you to do is to train your system and to build up some reserve of power and energy inside of you so that you're no longer threatened. You're no longer threatened by whatever is happening there. And sometimes it's going to impact you really, really bad, really hard, really, with lots of intensity. But you develop an ability to be exposed to the intensity of the feminine and receive it and welcome it. So again, this doesn't mean not having boundaries, but it means being smart with it. Why? I'm going to go deeper into the ancestral meaning of all that. And, this has been going on this planet and humankind, and very often, in the past, in different situations, women have not only been shamed, but have been condemned for channeling this fire. And I believe that some of it is really a sacred fire. It comes from a real place of wounding and pain. Imagine how much abuse has been happening on the collective feminine. And then a woman suddenly feels this fire rising inside of her, and she needs to voice it, and she needs to express it. She needs to voice her pain. And that comes in the form of rage or fire. And you might say, well, underneath is just sadness. Well, maybe, but that's not what is being expressed right there. So the fire is what is being expressed. Maybe it's going to be fire for a moment, and then it's going to be tears, and it's going to be laughter, whatever. But the point is this, it is that there is a mystery and there is a gift in receiving this fire from a mystical perspective. Now you're familiar with the energy of Kali, maybe, this raging goddess, which is an expression of that energy. Well, this raging goddess is there to destroy and slay the demons. This is what this energy is about. When I call the energy of Kali inside of me, I am destroying, dissolving, transmuting, burning down the aspects of my ego that no longer serve me. This is what's happening, right? So when a woman comes with that fire and you're in partnership with her, or maybe she's just a friend, and she starts embodying this energy of Kali right now, then you look at it and you say, wow, here is this transmission of goddess energy which is coming into my field, and it's going to burn the aspects of my ego that I no longer need. It's a little bit like that. Instead of looking at this fire as good or bad, it's just energy moving, right? This is another perspective. So this is what I do. When I see the fire raging, and this is what I do. Yeah, right. You know, sometimes I'm going to be challenged by it, of course. I need to adapt. I need to, okay, shift my mind. Something's happening, of course. But here's the way I look at it. The fire is being projected in my field, right? It's permeating my temple. Suddenly there is this fire and this energy exploding to the surface. And the way I look at it, I go like, this fire is a gift, right? It's just energy. It's being projected into my field, and it's going to take care and burn down some aspects of my egoic vehicle that I no longer need. It's a little bit like you take, you know, some form of structure, some form of mineral or something, and you expose it to very high temperatures and lots of fire. And then what remains is really the essence, is really the core. So I experienced that multiple times. I've been really blasted by the fire of the sacred feminine. Blasted multiple times. And guess what? It burns down, burns down, burns down. And then I'm exhausted, I'm destroyed, I'm on the ground, I can hardly breathe, right? And I'm talking about very extreme experiences. I don't want to inspire you to go there, but just to give you an idea of the dynamics. And then suddenly from that place, suddenly I feel the grace coming back and rebuilding my system from within. When what I notice in moments like that is that it feels like it's a liberation. There is something that has been removed and burned down, and then I surrender to this energy, and eventually I rebuild myself from the very core. So this is, you know, this is an art form. What I'm talking about here, it's something that you might be experiencing in the past. You might have been exposed to it in some way or another. But if you feel the magic, I want to reflect on that, because I feel like there is a great, incredible gift behind all of that. Okay, so yeah, what else around that? Okay, a couple more things about that. It is that it's important to, when there is an episode like this, you can approach it from a conscious, intentional place. It means that you can design a space that is protected, safe for your woman to express those emotions. Sometimes it's not there, and then you say, listen, I have a feeling that there is something in the background over here that is happening, so why don't we take a moment to have some form of ritual, raging ritual, anger ritual, so that you can express all that in a safe space. So you create the context, you take the time, and you set up the space. The important boundary is that I always encourage you to establish in a space like this one. It is number one, there is no physical contact, so there is no physical abuse. There is, unless there is, you know, you can set it up in a way that is safe. It might be sometimes I encourage to do kicks on my shoulder. It might be, you know, punching on the stomach. Sometimes, you know, but basically the general rule is no physical touch. All right, that's the first one. The second one is put some mats on the ground, put some pillows, allow for the rage to be expressed by hitting pillows as well. The third one is don't hurt yourself in the rage expression, you know, like this happens to us guys sometimes. You might be having a moment of trigger, and then you punch a wall with your fist and you break your hand. So you don't want to do that, right? So if you see that your woman is going into intensity and is about to hurt yourself, you must stop her, okay? And another rule, another boundary is don't break the house down, don't break plates, don't throw things around, okay? this has to be contained. You want to contain it. And yes, there might be some fun and in destroying the house down and burning everything to the ground, but this is not what we're doing here. We're designing it in a way that is intentional. Now, when something comes to the surface and it's being expressed, then you can set up the boundaries on the spot. What I encourage you to do as well is have conversations about that. This is how to deal with conflicts, how to navigate fights or tension when they arise. And when you are dating somebody or connecting and having a relationship with that person, you have to figure out what is the best way to navigate these moments of intensity and tension, because they have a role to play in the relationship. And just going into full-on, blown, explosive fight, sometimes it's not the way to go. Sometimes you want to create a space or a container which is more directed and more intentional. What you can do as well in terms of boundaries, set up the timer. You can say, listen, I'm just going to set up the timer. I give you 5 minutes into that rage. And simply after 5 minutes, you take a pause, you take a break, you check in. Do you need another round, or are you complete, right? And you do another round. So your presence, you as a man, your presence of the masculine here is going to be very powerful in helping her navigate these emotions. And again, you know, it's something that you can talk about before or after, have conversations about the strategies and what you feel is appropriate and the best way for the two of you to navigate all that. Some women are going to be completely non-receptive to any form of boundary, and that's okay as well, but sometimes that's going to be a deal breaker for me. Like, for instance, if I give a boundary and the woman is not able to respect this boundary, like now is not a good time, then that becomes an abusive cycle where the expression of rage or anger is not being directed in ways that are creative for myself as well. So having, you know, you can be angry and still have respect, right? So again, it's an art form. The other thing that I want to say about this one, it is that if you're a woman and you experience those kind of outbreaks in your man, you can reverse, you can mirror, you can be the one holding space for that. But then it's very important that the man understands the boundaries and the limits that you offer. And again, have a conversation about that. The other thing that I want to say is that probably 70-80% of the rage or anger outbreaks that are happening in couples is not something that needs necessarily to be expressed or witnessed by your partner. Most of the emotions, strong emotions that I'm going to be feeling in my body, I don't necessarily want to expose my partner to that. And it doesn't happen often, but if there is something that is happening, frustration with God knows what, politics or technology or something that is really triggering my system, instead of coming to her and saying, oh, listen, I'm really angry or being triggered by her for some reason, then instead of coming to her and asking her to hold space for me, I can go into the jungle or into do some practices myself that are going to help me to release if there is an outbreak of rage and anger. Okay, to summarize all of that, I want to say that a woman's anger and rage and fire and intensity can be a real gift for a man. Again, make the distinction between toxicity and positive or mature fire or rage expression. There are certain women in my field where when I see them getting angry and starting to escalate fights, I can see that it doesn't really serve me. So I'm going to remove myself from the space. This happens, for instance, with friends, within community, when there is a raging battle and argument starting on Facebook, for instance, or other social media channels. I go like, I'm not interested in being part of that, so I remove myself from it, right? Because it feels like it's spinning into toxicity. And sometimes if I see people arguing, in a public place, it's going to be the same. I go like, you guys do your thing. This has nothing to do with me, goodbye. right? So you have to decide whether it's something that you have the feeling has a gift or not. The reason why I started discovering all of this is really because I started diving deep into the energy of Kali, and then when I saw women coming as messengers of that energy, of that divine fire, I was like, oh my God, you are an expression, you are an embodiment right now, and you're a messenger of that energy for me. So instead of pushing that away, I go like, no, welcome, let's see what happens. And it can be challenging, of course, but I encourage you to play with it. Okay, that's it for now. There is so much more to say. We went a little bit all over the place in this video, but I hope you get some value out of that. If you have any questions on this, whether you are woman or man or a couple, and you find it challenging to navigate these dynamics, please get in touch, reach out. We can have a session. I can guide you through the practices on how to express the shadows. This is shadow mastery, emotional mastery, and it's one of the core challenges that if you navigate it right, it can strengthen your couple, it can strengthen your relationship, bring you to a really closer place of emotional connection, emotional bonding, and even energetic and emotional intimacy. It's really powerful, and it's a great gift. Emotions are a gift, right? We are emotional beings, and instead of constantly trying to suppress and suppress them and put a lid on them, we want to find ways of navigating and surfing the waves of the different degrees of fire, water, intensity. All of that are important gifts. So that's it for now. Again, reach out. My name is Shiva Rajaya, and my website is vitalcoaching.com, and you can reach out as well on my Instagram at Vital Coaching or on Facebook, wherever you find me. Yeah, keep in touch. Enjoy.